Hi, I'm Alex Warner, Managing Director of Traxis Transport Consultancy. This is the first in a series of one of my trips around the UK on trains, buses and coaches, joined by industry bigwigs. And I'm out and about today, approaching Birmingham New Street, where I'm going to be joined by a rail industry icon. Hello Tom.
Hi Alex.
Good to see you.
Yeah, great to see you. Great to see you.
Take a seat on your own train.
Welcome on board.
So how are you, alright?
Yeah, really good, thanks. Really good. High energy levels at the moment, although there's a lot going on in the industry, as you can imagine.
Family,
as you
alright?
know. Yeah, really good, thanks very much.
Brilliant.
Career. Well, I was just saying actually earlier to another colleague that 28 years I've been in this fantastic industry, and I've really enjoyed pretty much every moment of it. I started as a conductor, as a trainman as it was called then, and then a conductor up in Scarborough on the North Yorkshire coast, and then moved around what was then the tail end of British Rail. Did a number of different jobs, often staying probably 18 months, 2 years in a job, and just moving around trying different things, and got my first chance to go into higher level supervisory and management when I was at Cambridge. I became the area manager quite quickly at Cambridge, and that was a great, fantastic job, Cambridge and Fen Line. And I think then the thing I really enjoyed was and understood was the breadth of the railway, and how if you're a manager, it's an amazing gift to be a manager. And making the most of it means that you need to understand every single part of society that the railway impacts in. And that's huge, it's massive. And if you understand that and put energy into each of these parts, you get the most out of your job. And so, simply, that's really what I've enjoyed doing.
And you were managing director for Arriva in Wales, weren't you? That was your first MD job, wasn't it? What was that like then?
That was brilliant. It was fantastic. The people were amazing there, and I really thoroughly enjoyed the experience I had in Wales. It was really important to just thoroughly immerse yourself there, and I had some really good advice actually from a senior railway colleague who we went out to dinner a few months before I started in Wales. He said, "I'll give you some advice, Tom," and the advice is very much, do not think about when the franchise might end. Don't do that. Think about the fact that you've got this job for 10 or 15 years and make decisions on that basis. Think about the railway as a system, and that's certainly what I tried to do, and I really enjoyed the job much more as a result of that.
I remember, I think we had dinner a few years ago, and I think you said cross-country MD would be your dream job because you've always been really interested in provincial railways and the fact that it serves all parts of the UK. How's it shaping out?
Oh, it's brilliant. I love it. I like the fact that we go across the whole of Great Britain. We've got a fantastic team here. I've worked in a variety of different TOCs, but I can safely say that our on-train teams here at Cross Country give some of the best customer service, and that's really important. We can build on it, of course. We're going to improve it. Going to improve it as part of the work that we're doing with the new contract that we've got and with service quality regime, but also actually just looking at things, the opportunity that GBR brings us, the opportunity that COVID has actually provided us in just establishing a new baseline for the industry so that we can really think about what actually was not going so well before. And if you look across country, there were a number of things that were not going as well as they should have done, capacity being a major issue. And that led to the service that we provided customers falling short of where we wanted to be. So I'm loving it. I'm really enjoying it. The pandemic has completely changed things, but I think all it's done actually is it's brought forward that opportunity, which might have taken 5, 6 or 7 years to really change cross country, to reflect what our customers need. And to get to that point, you need to understand who our customers are, which we've still got work to go on that front. It's probably brought it forward by 4 or 5 years, so speed's going to be really important for 2 reasons. One, so we need to get on with stuff, but secondly, we've also got this major cost challenge, rightly, to answer in terms of the taxpayer, and we've got to come together as a system to deliver it. So great times, really good place.
And you talk about knowing your customers. Now, you're an MD that I know because I follow you on social media, and you know, we keep in contact over the years. You're always out and about, all parts of your network. You're meeting stakeholders, you're meeting customers. That must be part of the job you really love.
It is. The thing, before I talked about the breadth of the railway, one of the things that I really enjoy about our industry is the fact that you meet people from all walks of life, and that to really succeed in our industry, you need to be understanding of the fact that we're used by everyone. We're actually one of the last places in society, I would argue, where literally everyone comes and uses our service. And as we see more people, segmentation happening, particularly by online shopping, people travelling around less to go to shops and what have you. People don't go to the post office anymore. Actually, the railway's a place where everyone, lots of different people travelling for all sorts of different reasons, come together. And similarly, therefore, when you talk about stakeholders, you've got people representing all those different types, everyone from society, and that's brilliant because it means that you're truly engaging with every single part of society. I really like it. Yeah, I do like it.
And I was on one of your trains the other day. The customer service is great, and one of your conductors, or train managers, I think they're called, Stuart. I got chatting to him, and he immediately knew you and said you're always hatting about, and you bumped into him. He's not the first one, so that's great. If I was an MD, I'd be doing that. That's the exciting part of the job. You're clearly very intimately in touch with the markets, the demographics, the insight. Transitioning into GBR, I suppose it's really important that people like yourselves as MDs, the champions of those local markets, that the industry's still listening to your ideas and thoughts because you're closest to the customers. How do you see that playing out then?
Well, from what I have seen so far and the people that I've talked to, I'm really excited about GBR. I think it's going to be a real opportunity, and I don't have major concerns that certain parts of the industry won't be listened to, because ultimately, if that doesn't happen, then it won't work. But it has to work, so therefore everyone is going to have to be listened to. So there's my logic of the day. I hope that works out. I'm sure I've got confidence it will, looking at the people who are really driving it forward and talking about, talking with some of the people within the transition team, and I'm fortunate enough to be part of the connected leaders work that's going on within the industry, and we've got people who are part of the transition team who are on our Connected Leaders programme. That's been brilliant, actually, just to understand the way that they're approaching it and the importance, actually, of focusing on culture. Because one of our great barriers will be us thinking that we can approach the issues that we've got in the same way that we've approached the problems of the past. Yeah. We have to be fundamentally different. And I know this is really basic, but if we're going to be different, we actually have to do things differently. Not say we're going to do things differently and then actually just try and do things the same as we've done them before, but in a slightly amended way.
But you're a rare breed of people, one so young, well, a few years younger than me, although I'm beginning to show my age now, that will remember the old days of British Rail, of being in the industry, so you can pick up obviously the best bits of that and neglect the worst bits. You've seen the best and worst of privatisation. To some extent you could say it's coming full circle, but you're in quite a unique position, I would say, to drive the change in the way it should be driven. And certainly my insights to the transition team as well have been highly positive as well. And you've got senior people like Andrew Haynes, for instance, Peter Hendy's, Rufus Boyd, that will remember the industry back then when you started out. So the wealth of experience, but everyone seems to be approaching it in a very innovative, forward-thinking way. You talk about culture there. I mean, how do you try and ensure that cross-country has a customer-centric culture? How do you go about doing that? It's a huge challenge when you spread across the whole of the UK, remote workforce, industrialised, very difficult, I would say.
I think, I don't know that it is difficult. I think it's just that, I get quite a number of emails, and so does the rest of the executive team, from colleagues who, on-board colleagues, who want to talk to us about customers who are frustrated by the fact we're letting customers down. So I think it's as simple as when I get an email, and I probably get a good dozen or more a week from colleagues, that we look into those and we try and we have some honesty about what we can and can't do to solve those issues, and we work really hard. It's that age-old thing. Cross country could be a team of 10 people with me at the exec, but it's not. It's a team of 2,000 people, and it's very much a case of just empowering people to say, we really want to know what is going wrong and what's going right, and trying to solve the issues, because ultimately management and leadership is about unblocking the problems that are stopping people from giving great customer service. That's it.
And in terms of finding out those issues, so obviously you mentioned SQR, the service quality regime, and at Traxis we're going to be running that scheme for cross country. Are you excited by that? Can you see that's going to really add value going forward?
Oh, yeah, definitely, very much so. Anything that really focuses the mind on customers is positive. I've some nervousness generally within the industry about over-contractualisation, and I think we have to be, and in some respects, over-specification. I think that's something that we need to focus on very, very carefully in the next 2 or 3 years to make sure we haven't got that wrong, or we don't get that wrong. But again, talking to some of the people that you've mentioned and others within the industry, that's understood that if we over-specify or we over-contractualise, that actually often leads to adverse outcomes.
Yes.
So yes, I'm really happy about the service quality regime. I'm looking forward to what it does for cross-country and our customers. And let's just keep things, and we are finding that I'm certainly finding that from the Department for Transport and the government, is a real willingness to understand what's working and then amend what isn't working. So from my perspective, I've got huge positivity about it.
What do you do when you have downtime then?
Well, I've got my family takes up a huge amount of time. I love being with my children and my wife, and we live in rural Northamptonshire. I've got my dog, my Rhodesian Ridgeback.
What's the dog called?
It's Holly.
Holly, right?
Yeah,
okay.
long walks with Holly the Ridgeback, and so a reasonably sort of just community-based, social. Yes,
man of the community.
I don't know about man of the community, but I enjoy.
And we talked about inconsistency and things like that. So Tom, we talk about inconsistent customer service. I've had a bit of a bee in my bonnet recently about plateauing punctuality and reliability figures across the industry. It seems to have picked up the last few weeks, but how much of a concern is that, and what should we be doing to redouble our efforts?
Right, well it is a concern, but I think the concern for me is not really the short-term performance, it's more about making sure that we realise that we have this opportunity to fundamentally change the performance of the railway, but the opportunity is finite in terms of time as passenger numbers increase and get used to the timetables that we're offering. And so I think structurally, the product that we had before, if you look at performance, it was declining over a number of years. The product before also was not suitable for the customers that we have now and what customers will want in the future. So we really need to be quite different in terms of the type of offering that we give customers from a timetable perspective. And when we change those timetables then, we also need to make sure that they are outstanding from a performance perspective. So that's really where I would like to see the focus being placed through things like the Grand Rail collaboration and other work that Cross Country are involved in up in Scotland, other work that we're involved in on the East Coast Main Line. I've got confidence that we are taking decisions that are going to make sure that performance is enshrined within the timetable, but that needs to happen across the UK. We just need to be bold, and we need to take the opportunity to be bold in terms of making sure that right at the forefront, when we come to putting timetables back, we're thinking about how are they ultra resilient, and that doesn't mean how do they have extra performance time, because we want journeys to be fast. How do they really work? And then the second element of it is, how do we make sure the customer's journey is seamless? Seamless in terms of multimodal in and out of the station, but then also seamless when it comes to things like platform changes, holding of trains. How do we make sure that we, the industry, now that we are moving into a system approach, that it's not just a TOC control and a network rail control and a signaller, it's all of us together thinking about the customers and making sure that one of our customers who's travelling long distance, that he doesn't have an hour's wait because we haven't held a train or we've made a certain regulating decision, or we've got 20 customers at New Street who've had late platform alterations, or we've done things that just don't make any sense from a TOC control perspective. That's the area of focus that we probably need to increase. That will come. I'm confident it will come, and with energy and effort and strong leadership, it will come. And then the other point is very much about being bold on the timetable front.
And I think on the collaboration, and you and I know from the Grand Rail collaboration, which I'm chair, and you're a lead member, that we've moved in the last 12 months to a position where the industry is far more collaborative than any point in my 28-year career in the industry.
Massively.
I can see it, and the next 12 months, if we can move at that pace, it could be amazing. Really.
Yeah, well, and I suppose people might think, well, I seem reasonably optimistic. Well, that's the reason why, because actually when I talk about, when I talk to people, I don't see the barriers that were in place potentially a few years ago.
No, agree.
Actually, I go back to that Wales experience. Some of those barriers are in our minds, and when you push through them, people in the main, in my experience in the past, I was always pretty much able to get stuff done, and obviously lots of other people were as well. So I think sometimes it's about just setting out a stall as to what we want to happen, and you can make it happen regardless. But it is certainly easier now. It's easier now, yeah, very much so.
Well, Tom, thanks for that. I really enjoyed that. Great afternoon, highlight of my month.
Pleasure.
Good. Now I'm feeling positive, and I know you're buoyant. But okay, let's cut to the chase. If I made a trip on your trains to Newcastle in a couple of years' time, what would represent success, and what would represent a missed opportunity and failure?
Well, it's a good question. Let's just be blunt about it. What would represent failure? Failure would be a situation where we're back to the capacity issues that we had 3 or 4 years ago. Now, I think COVID will mean that we've got a lot of work to do to get back to those passenger numbers. But by the time we get there, the product needs to be better than it was before. And what do I mean by that? Well, I think we need to work better as a system so that local operators are taking the majority of the commuters, which is their purpose, and the majority of short destination journeys, so that long distance operators can provide faster, maybe more limited stop services that really connect up the whole of Great Britain. That's really important for the economy, it's really important for customers, because that's the product that they want. If we went back to a situation where, if you take cross country as the example and the trip to Newcastle, and we're stopping continuously, that's going to be bad for performance, and it's going to be bad for the product. So we've got to get that balance of making sure that we serve the parts of Great Britain we want to serve and that need serving, but at the same time that we have a high performing product that's from a time to 3 perspective is really up there, not where it has been previously, that the product is high quality, so that customers have their space and they can use it really well during the journey that they want to make. And then thirdly, that we're easy to use, that you can connect into us for a variety of different methods, and it's seamless, and that people can easily, through their phones or their computers, buy a ticket with us that's multimodal and gets them from their home to where they want to be. That's success within 2 or 3 years. A real step change towards that direction is success. Anything other than that, unfortunately, will be a failure.
Well, I'm going to hold you to that. 2 years' time, let's find a cricket match en route to Newcastle somewhere, maybe Chester Street. And I'm going to hold you to that. Meanwhile, thanks very much. Really enjoy myself. Thanks, Tom.
Cheers,
Squire.
It's okay.